This week, we are back on our S-10. And the S-10, it's actually not inside the shop. Well, she's where I parked her right here. And in the last video, y'all seen us go buy this project as an unfinished LS swap. We got her finished, we got her drivable. In fact, we even drove it all the way back up where we bought it from and let the previous owner take her for a little rip. That S-10 having that 5.3 with 140,000 miles, just making all that raw, pure American power. When you mash it in that thing, well, she tries to go, she just can't. She likes to wheel hop. She just is one tire fire, the one squealer, wheeler, peeler, and she just don't really go as good as she should. And that's why we have this on our fabrication table. This episode, we are gonna tear into this limited slip 8.8 from a Ford Exploder. We're gonna narrow down a side. We're gonna hopefully get it where it can bolt in and out of the truck. I'm not a huge fan of the leaf springs that are on that truck. They seem too soft to me, not doing a good enough job. However, it's hard to tell because it don't have a C-notch and it's always clunking the frame. So hopefully we'll be able to get maybe a C-notch in the thing. And in one of them boxes over there, I believe we have some CalTracs. So that's the goal for this go around, is just tear into the old booty of that S-10, see what we can't get tore up, maybe put back together. We'll just see. I know we're gonna start up first with just tearing into this rear end here. These rear ends from the factory, they're pretty cool. You got a little disc brake. They are 8.8, so they're pretty beefy. Not all of them, but some of them, like this one is supposed to be, you can find with 373s, limited slip from the factory. It's got this little dampener for side to side. It comes with a factory rear sway bar. She's about as good as you could want to upgrade a rear end to, as far as I'm concerned. For a driver, okay? For a driver. Now, in typical Ford fashion, she is offset to one side of here. And a pretty common way to narrow these is you actually just get you another passenger side axle, just a factory replacement axle for this side. You narrow this side down a bit, stab in one over here, and you can narrow it down. Now, I've read, I ain't done it, I've read online that you can swap one of these in to a S-10 that it'll literally bolt in. Meaning these axle saddles are actually pretty dang close to the same distance as part as the S-10 ones. I did some ballpark measuring, and the ballpark measuring I came up with, I think that these are close to 1/4 inch wider, which means you probably could bolt it up, but you are definitely gonna be putting some deflection in your bushings for your leaf springs. Probably not enough to really affect anything. However, we're not gonna use those. I'm gonna lock these off. Our sway bar, once we narrow this side, it still ain't technically centered up. It would still be favoring a side. We're gonna cut the sway bar mounts off. We're gonna get rid of these parking brake cables. Parking brakes are overrated. This unbolts. We're gonna strip her down. We're gonna start with whatever that sensor was. I think we're gonna strip off brake lines and everything. We're just gonna redo it all. This holiday season, people's been like pudding. What do you want for Christmas? Give me something I can cut on. That's what I want. Our brake lines still had fluid in them. Gotta make a little bit of a mess. Parking brake cables, I'm just gonna slice them right there, and we're gonna leave that for now. Now, we may be able to actually run this on our S-10. I'm not super sure. I'm not opposed to having a rear sway bar. However, like I said, the mounts just aren't gonna be in the correct position. And we could probably mount this back, so we'll hold on to her. We'll just have to check it out and see. Ha-ha! I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with my hands. It's the holiday season. So poop-de-doo and a poop-de-da. That's a wild brake line, ain't it? I'm sorry, I've got to work. I know you want me to pet you all day. Can't pet you all day, Theo. Someone's got to pay for them sweaters you wear. Someone's got to do it, okay? It's a little rusted. Luckily we got a hammer right there. Pads are actually pretty good on there. Don't look terribly old or worn out, I guess I should say. Now we know that on a caliper, your bleeder needs to face the top, not the bottom. So we would know that is our driver's side, but I'm still gonna mark them. Then we ain't gotta think, we just gotta read. And that's hard enough. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle that fluid clean out of there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The old thick pad. This baby features the nice pitted rotors. Ooh, that one's got the super groove in her too. That'll yield some premium stopping power. Little tension clip. In fact, there's two, but I don't think neither one of them are gonna work as good as the rust retention that this thing's gonna have. As you can tell, that rotor's ready to come off there. Little hammer and chisel. Gotta dig the fossils out of here, apparently. Go ahead and get a little looby-dooby on her. I think it's a good sign when it don't spin. Pop this side free, but on this side we've got a backing plate. I'm sure dragging that down them studs is really good for it. Let's go ahead and lube up our studs here. And these things, they actually have parking brakes, little shoes inside of these. These are a drum as well. And I think that's what has us caught up right now. Aha! Success! I guess. It's off there. Just had to wedge that in on the back side. Yeah, those old shoes were just rusted to it. Nice and crusty. Now these backing plates, they were trashed since we've picked it up. They're all bent up, so don't worry about us tearing them up too much. We could probably save this side. Maybe that size too, hell, who knows. Impact with your little chrome Uniwiggler. That's always highly recommended. No! I don't know why I thought that was a stud. Turns out this side's just spinning. A little locking tab rubs the axle tube a little bit. Those are a little tricky. Our second one here is going real good. Put the wrench on there and it won't spin it, it's just rounding. Here we are. Yeah. Whew. Rusty and crusty, that's what it'll get you. You know what? Before we fight this thing too much, we're going to open up this back diff cover, have us look-see in here, make sure stuff looks decent before we do all this other work. And then we get inside here and find out something smoked or tore up. Oh, that good smell, instant. You want to spill all that dirt in there the way I just did. All right, let's have a look-see. Well, she actually looks pretty good in there. The whole outside's old and crusty, but in here, I ain't really seen anything that scared me. We're not gonna tear into it any. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't plumb chewed up or something like that. Hell, even the gear oil looks pretty decent. Don't look super nasty or nothing. Let's release the stink. Oh, this stuff smells so much better once you get it nice and aerated. Maybe give her, pan it like you're panning for gold. Flop it around. This devil wrench is just rounding them. Surely not, because we did not forget to bend those tabs off the axle tube. That has nothing to do with it. Well, that tab won't be a problem because it's no longer attached. So you mean to tell me if we pry those tabs up that are welded to those nuts to keep them from spinning, these things may spin a little easier? Unless I already did too much damage to this one, which I most definitely did. Let's not hammer that off the table. That's good. I thought y'all were watching me. Camera was off. I cut springs to our hardware. We're gonna replace all that crap anyhow. So I wanna get it out of there. Obviously with these little shoes moved out the way, now we've got access to this. Heck yeah. All right. A little access to there. And this thing's biting that one good. So even though I kind of rounded it, that just bit her and got her free. It's weird. It's like you use proper tools for stuff and it works better or something. Oh yeah. That's the winning combo right there, baby. Be smarter than me, folks. If you ain't, you're gonna end up with your nuts looking rough, and nobody likes rough nuts. All right, I see a C-clip down in there, but then we got this thing, whatever that is, right in the middle. Obviously some type of clip or retainer of some sort. I thought it was gonna spin for me. There we go. She's spinning a little bit. Jeez. Our little bolt had more torque on it than I was expecting. Oh yeah, that's good. Back that out into your little bearing cap there where you can't get it off. That's smart. All right, we got our retaining bolt. Oh, she has thread locker on her. That's what had it so good. I'm definitely no rear end expert, so we're gonna kind of wing it and ding it here. We're gonna pull that, and then I'm gonna spin her a little bit, and we're gonna try to pull this. You know, to spin that around, our gears will come out. That one fell out the other side. And then, I'm assuming, that gives us room for this clip to come out. I may not even need to take this crap apart. I took my hammer and tapped on the axle in. When you do that, all the extra came into here and it slid that C-clip out where it's easy to see. And I bet we could have grabbed that up out of there, like I said, without even removing those spider gears. Hey, we got a free axle. All right, so watch down in here and you'll see that axle slide over here in a second. Here she comes. Nope, just playing. I bet that rotor has us held. Oh, she got plenty of lubie on her. That out of there, that'll come out. Then that off there, we should. Oh, looks like our backing plates are actually riveted on. No, they're riveted to the brackets for the caliper, but shouldn't be riveted to the axle. All right, there we go. I knew one of these years we'd get it taken apart. Hopefully I can put it together better. I can take it apart. There's not a chance. All right, we're gonna watch down in there. Now you see the axle slide over and you see that clip. We can just fish it up out of there. Here she comes. There's our passenger side axle. She ain't near as lubed up. But if we set it there, now you can see the height difference on our axles. Slap our cover back on. Had a little chunk of the rubber hose left on our vent there, cut it off. And now we're ready to start cutting off all of our saddles. However, I guess we could have done that before our strip down because now we need to block this. We just want to keep as much debris out of there as possible. Quality.
Christopher. Hello. Seen that pile out there?
Pile.
Your S-10.
Hurt my feelings. When that hair's getting thin up top, you got to keep her protected. Let's bring the fire. One bracket down. Two bracket down. That's good. I didn't mean to do this, but those are almost cutting away where we could set them back on there and re-weld them. That would need leveled up a hair like so. Leave a little gap, but that'll weld. I ain't scared. We may be able to reuse these for our, if we do slap that sway bar back on. What do you think, Theo? We need to put a sway bar on it or no? This one wasn't wanting to cut as good. And I was like, it's like it can't blow through there. Well, found out why. She's cake full of dirt. Now you guys know I always have a slightly above average choice when it comes to eyewear. So as if I didn't look cool enough in these, or my I'll be backs. Look what somebody sent here. And I've had people ask me why I don't wear goggles, and usually it's because I fog them up. But I notice these are vented, which maybe it'll keep it from fogging, or maybe that'll let stuff get in my eyeball still. But don't tell me I don't look cool with these on. I even keep the tag on in case I need to return them. Get your goggles on, earmuffs on, because we got to take this thing to Grindtown. Right now is the time when you're gonna be happy if you have you some good quality flap attacks, guys. That thing's just mowing down those welds. A little belly lift. All right, sometimes you need a little belly assist. Roll that baby down. Saddles are gone for the leaf springs. Next up, what do you call it? Woo! It's a lot of grinding. Yeah, these things probably wouldn't be hurting my face so bad if I would have tuned them to my face. Good thing about these is if I want to go for some quick skiing outside, I'm ready to go. Slicker up, slicker up. All of our brackets are gone. So now let's get our tape measure out. If we read to that lip right there, it's exactly 17 inches. I mean, stinking on the dot. And I believe this side is 2 7/8 longer. So that means we should read 19 7/8. No, we are not on ours. We are reading exactly 20 inches. Interesting. All I've ever seen anywhere is that they are 2 7/8. Let's measure on the opposite side, see what it says. It's 20 as well. Well, that's good. That lets us know if it's in there square. One side was 20. And then the other side was like 19 11/16. Damn helicopters coming in. That'd mean that axle tube was bent. This one's reading 17. 27 1/4, maybe 3/16. So the axles are 22 7/8 difference. Just the difference over here is a 3-inch difference. I've seen everyone swear up and down you're supposed to do 2 7/8. So that's what we're gonna do. Up next, got the wire wheel on the mobile old slice and dice. And we're gonna clean this up because we're actually gonna go ahead and weld our axle tubes to our little center chunk here. If I'm being honest, it probably don't need it. It's not like we're really planning on like putting this turbo on this truck with a damn turbo 400 on a trans brake and set of drag slicks, and we're hoping to go pull a 4-foot silly willy. More or less for me, it's just practice because I've never done it and we're here. Hey Ma, Puddin's out there trying to pull his silly willy. There'll be no silly willy pulling around here. Y'all see that string just try to fall down there and take me out? Not today, Satan. Not today. I'm getting in there real nice and deep like.
Get in there nice and deep like.
My wire brush is having a hard time getting all the way up in there. So I'm just gonna take my pick here and scrape some of that out of there. That's a terrible noise, but look at all that crap coming out of there. And we'll blow it out. Clean table's a happy table. All right, last thing I'm gonna do is I got some alcohol here, so I'm just gonna blast it in there to try to help clean it. So I may have never looked at how to disassemble one of these, but there's a YouTube channel that's been around forever, the Fabrication series, a gentleman named Justin, and he did video on 8.8 narrow on it. That's huge. I mean, probably a million views, I don't know. So during that, I had paid attention, and he also welded his axle tubes, and he said the only filler he has found that has worked for him to eventually not crack out was 309 stainless filler. Well, I have 308, and that's what we're going with, just because I have it. Now, I've seen people MIG weld these, and in his video, he kind of elaborates a little more, but he says there's not really a right answer or a wrong answer. It's whatever welds that stays and doesn't crack. So obviously, it's going to take time to tell for us, but for now, it's welding up fine. Put me on some seeing glasses. Now, me being right-handed, I'm realizing to do this side, it'll be a lot easier if I just slide the whole rear end over there. So slide your rear end. When I say tack, I'm doing about a 1/4 inch weld or so. No! I don't think Justin gave his the elbow from the top rope like that power slam I just gave mine. Did you, Justin? Woo! This side I must have got cleaner because it's just burning a little easier. I'm not having to work the puddle so much. And that just felt really nice. That felt like I almost knew what I was doing for a second. No! Bet you didn't slam yours twice, did you, Justin? Probably not. We're gonna have to replace that axle tube if I keep this up. All right, this time we're gonna go for a rotation with no drop. All right, like I said, little weld on each side. Get her held into place. She's ready to weld. Let me show you what we end up with. Again, not perfect, just a little tighter, cleaner weld this go around. 20 inches, 20 inches. I mean, this sucker's perfect. So what's interesting is, before I did that side, I went ahead and checked it, and I told y'all 17. Well, I checked the front side, and it was actually a hair past 17, like 17 and a 32nd. And that was before I ever even touched it with like the welder or anything, guys. So that one is actually just a hair off, but it was, I mean, it's just like that. Obviously, they need to be pretty close to perfect, but I'm assuming if these can be out of tolerance, that probably shouldn't be out of tolerance. I'm just letting you know it's a hair off. We're gonna run it, and it's gonna work where it won't. With our axle tubes welded to our center chunk, we're kind of ready, I guess, to cut down our driver's side. We know we're cutting it down to 2 7/8. The question here is, where do we cut it? Well, Justin said you want to make sure if you're doing like leaf springs that, you know, you're gonna have your 2 U-bolts like you could used to see right there. You don't want a U-bolt pulling down straight on where your weld is. I think we're just gonna aim to have it between those, because then we weld that, and then when we weld the bracket to it as well, that bracket helps tie all of it together. Does it need it? Probably not, but that's gonna be our goal here. Mini Truck Mafia, baby. We can deliver all the goods if you need us to, or we can deliver an ass whooping if you'd like one. Line up next to her and find out. All right, up underneath here, we need to measure basically center of the spring to center of the spring, which is a little hard to do without an extra set of hands. Looks close enough to me. The next math we're gonna need is how long is this thing as a total, which is kind of hard because of the center section. Next measurement we need is the overall length. That's a little hard because of our center section. It's not like we can just measure straight across. So for this, little locking pliers, piece of scrap metal on each flange. We're gonna measure it. I'm going to the inside and right there, I'm getting just pert near 54 inches. Now I understand this may not be the best technique because if those have any deflection, it's gonna read funky. So we're also gonna flip these towards the rear and check it that way. Same thing, I mean, just a frog hair from hitting 54 inches. 54 inch, subtract 38 and 3/8. If we do that, we get 15 and 5/8, right? Right, but that's how much longer this is overall. We need to come in from that edge this way on each side, so then we actually need to divide that by 2 as well. So I'm gonna do it like this. 15 divided by 2, 7.5. 5/8 divided by 2 is 5/16. And then the 7.5 plus 5/16 would be 7 and 13/16. That means we'd come over from this edge this way, 7 and 13/16 right there. What's important here is we know if we cut it right there and weld it back together right there, our saddle's gonna end up right there, and then our U-bolts are gonna be on either side of it. Since we know where we need to aim for, let's clean her up. The wire wheel will take off the rust, but it ain't getting good clean metal. I'm gonna go around here, put as many marks as I can with it at the 7 and 3/8. This is time consuming, but it's probably pretty important to take your time and get her marked out as accurate as we can. And with her marked all the way around, I'm gonna take my tape and we're gonna try to just kiss every single edge of them marks. With her taped, we'll check it. 7 and 3/8. Now that's on this side of the line, so we actually want to cut right there up to the edge of our tape. 7 and 3/8. Guys, I think we've got that pretty dang good right there. Put me some marks so we remember to cut up to that edge. And then from this edge, unfortunately, we get to do the same thing, which is go over 2 and 7/8. And then put us a mark all the way around with tape as well. It's a good feeling when that tape lands right on top of each other. We'll check it here from this edge over, and we're cutting this side. This should be pretty precise. We just got to take our time with the cutoff wheel, and we should be able to slice her off there. Psych! I almost forgot. We need to set something here and draw us like a straight line. That way, once we cut this, we've got something to reference to index it back where this flange is where it needs to be. Now, we can cut it. Psych! I don't know that this is gonna help, but I'm actually gonna stuff a couple rags in here and then shove them down that way in an attempt to keep the metal shavings as we cut through there from getting inside our bearings in the center carrier. We may just use this as a way to start a fire, Who knows? Now we can cut it. All right, slow and steady there. Don't cut it unless you're comfortable. There's our missing chunk. With our cut down, I just got a little scrap piece of C-channel I happen to have there. And that way it kind of just lines her up. And I'm gonna index our lines right there. Nice tight fit. And I cut this, giving me a little play on purpose, and I'll show you what I mean. Right there we're reading 17 1/4. Well, we know we started at 20 and then we took off 2 7/8. So really we should have 7 1/8. So we can still take an 1/8 inch off. I'd rather go a little off and check it, make sure that's a nice gap and then tune it in versus be off and try to cut it at the precise amount. Tape this off right at a 1/16 showing, and I'm gonna shave that down. You can do it with your flap attacker. I think I'll use my bench grinder since I got her. Took that 1/16 off, checked it. It was 3 3/16. Took off another 1/16. Now we're sitting right at the 7 1/8. And that's our goal. That's the sweet spot. So now we need to put a little bevel on it because we can't just butt weld it like that. We want to bevel it, but we don't want to take off and narrow it. Quick little deburr on the inside edge. And then around our axle tube, we're going to use a roll lock and make sure to get her nice and clean. And before we go back together with these, I'm actually going to try my best to clean all this crap out of here. Got my toilet brush. So we'll spin that around, spray a little brake clean in there to help knock some of that lube free because it holds all the shavings to the walls there. Then we'll just kind of trying to pull as much of it out versus shoving it in. We're still gonna have to clean it out from the inside, but the most we can get right there, or the more we can get like that, the better. Now, proper running downhill. That old axle tube, she's pretty dirty in there. And that's just from gunk over the years. Main thing I'm worried about is the, like I said, the chunks. So as long as we get those chunks out, we should be good. Now we're pretty stinking clean in there, and I'm also fairly certain we didn't get any debris up here in the center chunk. We want to go ahead and clean this side up. I've got my homemade bearing puller there. We drop her in, then we thread the slide hammer. Or we can do this the easy way, since it's in my hand. Once you get it in there, just tug on it. Jeez. She's rusty and crusty and don't want to come out, trust me. Ha ha! Just be sure to hit that hip bone. That cleaned out. I remarked our lines and we are ready to fit that up to each other. 25 inches, so we'll cut her in half at 12 1/2 and we can make that work. right through like butter. All right, kind of chamfer those edges some, especially on the end that I didn't cut, just to make sure it didn't have a loose edge. Works over here, pay attention, please. We'll set that right there. Now you see why the the 3-inch C channel is so important. We'll put that right there. Then we're gonna set another piece on top. And then we can C-clamp that before we get too buck nasty here. 17 1/8, that's perfect. 17 1/8, that's what we're wanting to see. 17 1/8. Well, we really can't check the bottom. Let me clamp that. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. 17 1/8. 17 1/8. My line's got a little off. I gotta rotate this. And that does a really good job, because as you just seen, I loosened this side and tried to spin this, and I could not until I loosened this side. Attempt number 2. We'll check measurements again in a second. I was just making sure those lines were lined up. 17 1/8, I can almost guarantee you that means this front one's good. And we are about to tack it. Tack it. That is not welding very well. On top of that, someone thought it was smart to spray brake clean in there, which you shouldn't then weld on stuff with brake clean, because it makes a very harmful chemical. We should have used something else, like more alcohol or something, but here we are. Well, my tungsten was broke. I don't know how it broke, so I put a new one in there. Checked the gas, just tried to weld over that. I don't know if there's too much crap in there, but it did not let me burn it out of there. It fought me. Yeah, this is going good. Try again. That's welding cleaner. Now, as far as that chemicals from the brake clean, that stuff's really bad, guys, so you gotta be careful. I'm not really getting too much of it. I did open my doors, and I'm just gonna kind of hold my breath and be aware. Be smarter than me. But that time I didn't get any of it. I just barely smelt a little bit that first go around. All right, with our tack front and back, we wanna check it. 17 1/8. 17 1/8. We'll loosen our clamps. And we need to rotate about 90. Reclamp it. I really can't believe how good the C-channel holds it. I mean, I knew it would, but it holds it like really, really good. It's kind of impressive. 7 1/8. I'm at 17. 17 1/8. We're doing good still. Get on out here. Our front side still looks good. So, to no surprise, the back side still looks good. All right, she's packed and racked. I know there ain't no axle in it, or bearing in it, but if it was, I think we'd be good to go, because look how far that sits down in there. She shouldn't sit that far. Should be about right in there, probably. I think we're good, guys. I think we're good. So after I make a pass, I'm gonna clean it butt, and we're gonna check our measurement. 7 1/8, 7 1/8, 7 1/8. She didn't move. I'm gonna crank my heat up a little bit to make sure I'm burning in, but that is burning in good. I think I can just give her a little more, and I may try to crank a little more filler into her. Well, I wish I could lie to you and say that went really good. It didn't go bad. There's just a couple areas like right here where I ground it out, try to weld it, grind it out, try to weld it. And I don't know if it's just pulling the gunk from the inside still or what. I just can't get a good weld there. And rather than keep doing it, I kind of had the idea of making a pass with a TIG, like I said, to make sure it's burning deep there, and then just capping it with the MIG anyhow. And that's what we're gonna do. One good thing is I'm certain it has not moved a hair. And I'm just mowing over that whole sucker. One fat cap on it. Still reading good. That burning good, didn't fight me. I'm able to just pour the heat on it because I know that inside's welded so good. 17 1/8. 17 1/8. All the way around we read 17 1/8. That's it, guys. We officially have a narrowed 8.8. She's a little lumpy. Go ahead and grind her out and smooth her up. There she is. Finished cleaning her up all the way around. And hey, she stripped down today. Tubes welded, one side narrowed. Took me a little longer than I thought it was going to. I thought I could whip this faster. It is what it is. Good morning. That's right, we're starting the day off with more grinding, wire wheeling, and cleaning on the rear end. And maybe y'all can tell that's cleaning up pretty quick. I don't care about getting it all necessarily down to just a bare metal, but as long as we can get her cleaned up pretty good where we can paint it at some point, that'll be all right by me. Peel our tape off the end, shove us a rag in there, and look at that. I mean, that's pretty crusty, so we definitely want to get that cleaned up good before we go back together. Alright, I gotta clean up my mess, guys. It does not take long to get a dustpan's worth of crap around here doing a job like that. We probably need to go ahead and pull this bearing. Oh yeah, it rolls real good. Just work my old screwdriver up in there. We're gonna pull this cage. And that'll get all of them out of there. I have to take our magnet and go fishing for a few. Let's see now. Now can we fit the slug? Use my magnet, get her stood up. Now we gotta go slow and steady on our thread to not knock it over. And guys, that tool, or that little chunk, I'm so glad I made it. It's way easier than using those claws. Maybe I just don't know how to use the claw. Oh, she's coming. Here we go. Never stood a chance. Just around here's a little dirty, so we'll give her a little brake clean. Of course, we're not trying to get metal out of this end. We're just trying to get this cleaned up where this bearing and new seal don't fight us no more than it has to. And that looks clean enough to me. Let's see, got some Timken here. Good old quality Timken. New seal, new bearing. I don't think it matters which way the bearing goes. It looks like it has, or it's pretty symmetrical, I mean. I'm gonna face her with the letters out. I'm gonna go ahead and put some gear oil on this baby. This is just what they had on the website for it. It has the limited slip friction modifier included, so we don't have to add an additive that's already in there. Boy, and that is gonna be a snug fit. Yeah, okay, it's going. I mean, I know it's gonna be a snug fit, but it didn't look like it's gonna go inside that lip. You should be able to hear it, the thud, thud, thud. It is bottomed out in there. Up next, should get a fresh seal. After it goes all the way, and that is DUM. She's done. Hammer in this side. This side had that big old dent in it. Try to hammer that out, and we'll want to mock this up and just make sure she's gonna be okay. I did look to see if I could like order backing plates from the parts house, but I don't believe so. Next up, slide that bad girl in. And then we gotta kind of check her for clearance there. I can see this has been over this way, so we probably need to smack it right about in here. Little custom body work. And we're still rubbing. I think we're just right here at the ends though. You know what the bad news is? This is the good one. I think we're clearing up here now. It was rubbing up there. Now it's that lip inside there. But this axle may be too far in. Once we clip it, it may push it out. We're gonna call that good enough for now. Now, like I said, that was the good side, because look at this one. Nice and flat there. The whole thing's just humdingered up. Guys, if you value your time at all, if I would have thought about it when I was ordering stuff, I would have ordered new backing plates. I just forgot. I bet new ones come already like powder coated or painted too, because obviously we'll have time in disassembling all this and cleaning it up. And time's money. So if you've got a morning to piddle with crap like this, then obviously it's worth it for you. But if you ain't got a morning and you'd rather just bolt your things on in about 2 minutes and be done with it, it's probably worth the $50 to just get a clean one. Let's see how we did. We gotta pop our studs in our new axle. Do a looby dooby on that sucker, on the threads too. Voila! A studded axle. Here she goes. Now the real question, how bad is it? It's like a game show, baby. Just a little. The bottom's over that way quite a bit. In fact, it could go over here. It's up here that's rubbing. I could hear it. I'm just gonna take this top edge over. I think that'll be good. Now, next up, this next step would normally be a kind of daunting task. You think about drilling your own axle and converting it from Ford, the 5 on 4.5 to 4 3/4. That's the Chevrolet. That's what we're going to. We're gonna put her in the vise here. Obviously, you don't want to grab it anywhere that matters, meaning down here at the splines or up here where she rides in the bearing or anything. Just out in the middle will work. And normally, this would kind of be a scary task unless you have the tools for it. And actually what we have is a little drill guide here. This is made in the USA by Hell's Gate Hot Rods. This ain't a paid promo or anything. I just looked for some solutions online and found this kit. It comes with the drill guide, instructions, couple drill bits, and I already did it on the other one for a little warm up to see if I was gonna mess it up or not. I didn't. So let me show you how we're gonna do this one. We're gonna drill our rotors and our axle at the same time. Now this has a little play, but not a lot. So what I did a minute ago was I actually ran down a few of these because there's a little chamfer there. So we wanna let this actually center this up. Whoa, sharpshooter smoked the box over there. A little lube on those since they're not as nice as our new ones. You see I worked those up and down to work some of that debris off there. So that should center that up to our axle as far as to the studs, I guess you'd say. The goal now is to actually not to move this, since there is that little bit of play in it. And I know that sounds hard, but it's really not. All we're gonna do is zip these right back off. As long as you're careful, that thing ain't just gonna move itself, guys. So then what you do, we're just gonna drop this right on here. And it's the same thing, very, very carefully. We're gonna run down these until they just kind of touch, and then we'll kind of evenly torque them where it clamps everything. So it does require a little finesse. Now this one's been a little sticky, so we don't wanna do it first. These are chamfered as well, so that's gonna center that up. Everything should be centered up. Instructions call for 20 foot-pounds of torque. Of course, you wanna do it in a nice little star pattern, not be hopping all around. Pretty genius idea, I think. And now, you'll see we got a little tube here and one here. Well, this is your pilot hole, and it's set up for you to put a 1/4 inch drill bit down through there. And then this is gonna take it out to, what was it? 39/64, which is supposed to be for a 1/2-20 stud with a 5/8 knurl. Did I order some of those? No, I did not. Let's not worry about that, okay? But we just drill here, and then we've got to take this thing off, rotate it, torque it back down, then you drill another pilot, but then this will be over this one, and then you drill it. And guys, I ain't gonna lie, it's a long process. If you don't got any cutting fluid, get you some cutting fluid. You can use other looby dooby to help cut, but unless you've ever used cutting fluid, it's better, guys. It's its job. Let it do it. Let it do its job. As you drill this, you really ain't got nowhere for all them shavings to go. And it's drilling, so you wanna pull that up out of there. And doing the other one, I got where I'd like count to 10 and then just do it. Blow her off good. And we very carefully remove those, pick that up, rotate, set her back down, repeat 5 more times. Plenty of syrup down in there. It's time to get the big boy. Hoo, hoo, hoo. As I do this one, you may notice she's slightly shaking the table enough to shake the camera. I think it's the drill bit is bent for some reason. I've tried it in this drill and my other drill. Neither one can I get to smooth up, so it just is what it is. Re-lube. There she went. Last 1/4 inch hole. My plan was to show you doing the last hole, rotate that, show you the last hole. I'm on the second to the last hole, pretty close to through. Our drill bit's decided it no longer wants to drill. Now, so against my better judgment, I'm gonna try to sharpen it here, and I'll probably mess it up for good. Of course, couldn't be that easy. Right here, I've got a 31/32 out of my good drill bit set. I never get in it unless it's a special occasion. Kind of hold that true to center, hoping we can take enough out of there where then this will do its job. But it's not. She's going some. I gave her another shot on the sander. No! She's through. As you may be able to tell, I'm not the best at sharpening bits. Maybe I am good at it, because this thing's just cutting. I don't even want to stop it to get the slack out. She's just going. It ain't wobbling near as bad neither. So I guess the wobble was in the tip of that old drill bit. That drilled better than it did that whole time. Come see me here at the Puddins Fab Shop if you need your drill bits tuned up. That should be it, guys. Lug nuts are flying. Pull our adapter off, and there you have it. We are multi-patterned now. Now I was hoping these were gonna come with the studs we were gonna end up needing. I wasn't sure what size they were. And it's a little small. So I was hoping we were gonna be able to knock these out and just move them over. But I think we're gonna have to go try to track some down, possibly get some on order. Out with the old. Let's go see if we can find some new. Guys, I want to say that kit was like $160 or so, which in comparison, depending on what wheels you're already running on your little pick 'em up truck, if yours ain't multi-patterned wheels like mine are not, way cheaper for that kit and just spend the time and do that than ordering a set of wheels that match those rears that just bolt on. And if you don't want to do it yourself, which I'm doing it this way because it's cheap, let's think here, guys. We're getting 8.8, pretty strong rear end. 373's limited slip. We're able to narrow it, and we're converting it to the 5 lug we need with disc brakes and all this stuff. I'm probably going to end up around $500 into this rear end between buying it and doing all the stuff we're doing. And to get disc brakes, limited slip, the gears you want, get some strength and all of that, for $500, guys, look up rear end components. For a budget-friendly little rear end, this is the way to go. And if you need to run up to the parts house, this is the way to go. Theodore's my navigator. Well, me and Theo got good news. We were able to source the part number. Those factory ones are like 1.9375 inches long. It's just a half 20 on the thread, and the knurl size was about 0.606, what I read on the calipers, and we needed 0.6125, so 5/8. We got some on order. They'll be here in the morning. They're just having to come from the city. As I drive away, I remember I was supposed to get paint, but we've already gone too far. We can't go back now. It's all right. We've still got plenty of work to keep us busy until tomorrow morning, I do believe. As far as Theo, he just loves him a good ride. He likes to drive past stuff. He's like, boy, I could bite that. I could bite that. I may take a nap. I could bite that. Did y'all hear that? It was skip, 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 skip. All kinds of wheel hop. Wheel speed just shoots to the moon. One wheeler pillar. That's why we're doing what we're doing. You look very comfortable, Theo. Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. Using that, just putting a little taper on here. In my mind, that's gonna help the lug nut center it up. May not be the proper tool for that job, but it did do it very well. Little taper from the factory, Little taper right there. Unfortunately, we've made it to my least favorite part, the let's clean her all up part. Before, after. She ain't gotta be perfect. Hey, I found us a Ford. That looks like it says Fords with an S on the end. We'll just wiggle worm this in any of our tight places, like right there at our fill. Woo! Look at all that dirt. Hell, we're mining. We may find some gold down in here. We're just gonna get her clean enough. Like that right there is clean enough. It's good enough for my wife. She heavy still. Hoping for a little cooperation in the situation. And get us a drop cloth down where we don't paint our table. So obviously, we still got to add axle saddles to this thing. If we decide to add the sway bar, that too. I don't want to get this full mocked up in the truck, get it tacked, carrying it back and forth. We're going to paint as much as we can. And then when we set that stuff, we'll grind off a little bit of the paint. Maybe touch it up over there. I don't know. We're just painting it now. Thing got a stroke on it. I usually don't paint stuff gloss black, but at some point I accidentally bought 2 cans, so we're gonna accidentally use them on this. Hold up! Just playing. We're gonna pull that rear cover and clean that out, and then we'll seal it back up, then we'll paint it. What y'all let me forget for, huh? Just playing again. I forgot, we've still got to put our gears in there and our C-clips and lock our axles in, so there ain't no point in sealing this up all the way. Man, whether she looks super nice or not, she'll still look better than what we started with. This stuff is covering really good today. Woo, a little paint on them welds, that looks real good. I like that. See our sensor? Paint it. Back of our flange, paint it. The whole damn thing, paint it. As our rear end's been drying, I've been working on the backing plates. We're gonna give them the rattle can rebuild. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake that booty. Shake that booty. Now, depending on the level of truck you're building, this may not be good enough for you. But for us, and what the truck is, this should be just fine. Just dandy. This is gonna be the rootinest, tootinest LS swapped S-10 in Pot County. Got some good news, folks. We finally get to work on a truck. Solid start. I used to love Puddin's channel until he was always shaking his booty at me. It tried. I'm gonna break out the big guns for this one. Good news is all the others came right out. They're real easy to get to. Boom, boom. I disconnected our wiring for the taillights and get everything up, and out of the way. Look at those honkers. Those old fatties. Man. This is kind of as I was expecting. What is this black box? Some type of charcoal canister, huh? Yeah, she may kind of be in the way-ish. Frame was a little pitted back in here. She looks all right though. Looks like Justin had cleaned up on it pretty decent. Watch how much roll this axle has. See that? Axle roll, axle wrap. That's part of our problem, and that's what the CalTracs are gonna solve. Let's tear into this hind end. Did y'all see that? I simply let off the brake and this tire started spinning. I didn't even give it gas. Of course it wouldn't do it again, make me look like a liar. That's the one after I'd gassed it. That's the one that did a second ago. I just let off the brake. That's wild. Yeah. We ain't hooking up parking brake, so I'm just pulling our cable setup off here. I need no stinking parking brake. If you want to rebuild yours and hook it up, I'm sure you can. I ain't used a parking brake in anything I've owned in I don't know how long. We'll disconnect her right here. Just pop that in our frame where it don't bounce around. Pull the rest of that off. A little snip of the brake line. Obviously we're gonna have to replace that, especially now. Figured we'd get a little, guess not. Theo, just walk away and ignore me. How rude. Dang, that shock had some oomph on it. Maybe that's why it rides so dang rough back there. Pretty stiff. Theos. Say hello, people. So I'm just a lap dog. That's all I am. I need to put a tool vest on you with all the essentials. That way when I'm underneath this truck and need something, you can just come over. You ever got coffee from Dutch Bros? My wife just brought me one. Apparently they put a nipple on their cup. Oh, Bitsy. Dang it. I was hoping we could slide that through, but our drum's too big for that distance. We're gonna have to drop the springs. Watch your toes. It's one way to pull her. Hey, these are made in the USA. I didn't even know that. I get these from my Atwoods, local like Tractor Supply. They got trailer supply stuff there. And as you see, it's just a little weld-on saddle. We may be able to clean up those ones we'd cut off, but these are like $7. They're just gonna sit right there. We may have to grind on them a little bit. Let's check them. I think these are for 2 3/4. Yeah, it leaves a little gap. We could grind a little off them corners, but I don't mind a little gap for welding. Helps her burn deeper. Yeah, the job. Yeah. All right. All right. We got a few things to accomplish here. One, we need to get it centered side to side. 2, we've got to get our pinion angle figured out. To do that, I got a damn tooth vibrating or something. I feel like I'm talking in auto-tune inside my head. La! Yep, there it went. Boy, that almost sounded like the beginning of the Lion King. Anyhow, we got to get some weight of the vehicle on that. You can't check your pinion without this thing kind of weighted. We don't have the bed on it. We'll improvise, we'll get it. To check that it's centered, we're just gonna measure from the outside of the leaf spring to the outside of that flange. This side, actually we'll go to the inside, it's easier to read. This side's 7 3/8. And this side's 2 1/8. Obviously we gotta come this way a lot. I don't feel like doing math, so I'm just gonna keep checking it. 4 1/4, 5 1/4. We actually went too far. So we know we need to go back to a 1/2 inch or a 1/2 inch. So when we get 4 7/4, 3/4, not 7, should be right. It's right there. It's 4 3/4, 4 3/4. That's perfect. Well, I don't know why I was centering side to side and starting to put weight on this stuff. You gotta put weight on it. I've got our jack stands underneath the front suspension to load it. You can tell it's getting ready to tuck some tire. Back here I started to pick up, but what I mean is, I may have forgot about our lowering blocks, so then I put them in there, and look at this. Those things are so narrow, and these lowering blocks aren't solid, so those are actually trying to fall in there. AKA, that's no good. And if I check our other lowering blocks, they're all hollow. No one makes a solid one. All right, that means we're gonna have to weld a plate on there where it can't flop around on us. Our blocks are 2 inches by 5 inches, so we should just be able to cut us some strap real quick. We're gonna mark center here. Take her out to 1/2 inch. I'm gonna knock any ridges off of that and this. Now with all that done, we can simply sit this on here and use our eagle eye. We'll center that up, and then we'll just make sure it's square. It's looking beautiful. Not the prettiest welds, but that's some practice for us. A weld on the front and back is gonna be good enough, guys. This is just all this to that. All this is gonna get sandwiched together. That's what we needed. Those are made in the USA and then perfected in Pot County. See this? I was about to throw the big dog up there, but I bounced this a second ago. We're doing pretty good there because that's about the gap we had. So I got the weight on this, got our little pieces in place, centered it. Pinion angle is probably needs to go up more, but from there we can shim it up, and that's actually what we need to check next now. Pull our drive shaft, and we're gonna check our pinion right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2. And not planned, but surprisingly, I actually have the truck sitting pretty level right now. So we'll pick up on that, because next we want to go for 4 1/2. Right there we have 4 1/2. I mean, that's it right there. Don't touch it. And hell, that's perfect. The problem here is I think 4 1/2 is going to be too much. We're going to have to get a decent ballpark of the what our drive shaft angle is, where we can calculate our working angles. You want equal angles. People say equal and opposite. I'll argue that. You want equal. People say on this it's pointing up. Well, it's not pointing up. You got to do an imaginary arrow going through the component. So you actually want that higher, but this as a component is pointing downhill that way. And you're comparing it like that because your motor and transmission is pointing downhill that way. So you want it the same. And we could get into that big old debate, and I could prove people how they're wrong and how I'm right, but we won't do that right now. What I'm concerned about is, even though we have a matching, if our drive shaft to me almost looks like it is gonna be running uphill. So whatever that's running uphill, and then that's pointing down, you gotta add those together. And I think you don't want your working angle, which is the angle between your drive shaft and your like pinion there. You don't want it more than 3 1/2. And just eyeballing it here, I think ours is gonna be more than 3 1/2. So basically we need to shove our drive shaft in there, kind of hold it up where it's kind of supposed to be and then measure it. Yeah, we've got a problem. So right there is 0 degrees. For you to be able to subtract this from that, from it already running downhill, this needs to run downhill as well, which is pointing down. So like right there would be 1.5 degrees. So if this was going downhill, you'd subtract the 1.5 degrees from the 4.5. That would give you your 2.5 degree working angle. Like I said, we went below 3 probably. Well, the problem is this is running indeed uphill. If we get her ballparked there, it is actually running uphill 4.5 degrees. Since it's uphill, that's downhill. You add those together and that would put a 9 degree working angle on that, which is not good. Unless you want to feel some vibration in the situation, then it may be good. So one thing we can do, which I don't want to, but we can try to jack up on our transmission here, and that's going to take some of the angle out of there, but it's also putting stress on other components like our exhaust. You can see they already had her shimmed up as high as they could go. 1, 2, about 2.5 there. I set a rear end at the 2.5. Check this. We're running uphill right there, 1.5 to 2 inches. God bless America. 1.5 to 2 degrees. So that's going to give us then a working angle of around 4 degrees, which is more than the 3 I said, but it's about where our hands are tied right now without rebuilding a bunch of other stuff. Maybe not a bunch of other stuff, but we may start, I guess up here technically we should gain some clearance the more that this goes up like that. Just want to check, make sure our steering ain't rubbing or nothing now. If we had a mechanical fan, which we don't, you'd be concerned about it dropping down, starting getting to your radiator and stuff. But basically that exhaust I built at this point would be worthless. Right now I jacked it up until the O2 sensor just started to hit the floor, and then I backed her down a hair to get the tension off of it. And to jack that up any higher, it ain't doing it no good. So this is one of those things where unless you, like I said, want to redo some stuff, your hands are kind of tied. This is like bolt-on stuff for our LS swap, but they may not account for someone just plumb slamming the thing like we are. So now we got to do the best we can. We're going to end up with a working angle on there 4, maybe 4.5. But what counts to me is they're in phase, meaning the working angle up here and back here is the same. So they're going to wear out the same in theory. And guys, don't be scared because we didn't get to our 3.5 I was hoping to, because I promise you there's tons of slam trucks running around, and once they drop the butt of theirs, there's more of a working angle on there than that, and they're not in phase. Ours should still be nice and smooth. Verify her side to side, pinion angle's where I want it. We'll knock a little paint off and then tack her. I locked her in. Yeah! Just welding the outside, no need to try to weld the inside. That's just overkill. They come from the factory with a single weld on each one. That's good. Our homemade saddles are on. I don't think they're going anywhere, guys. Those are permanent. Whoa, smoking. We're gonna start today off with a little C-notch in action. This thingy-mabobber bolted in there. We no longer want that. So we're gonna snip those for now. That all unplugs and unbolts. She gone. The goal here is to get this side looking pretty close to this side. The only thing is, this side has some wiring hid up in there we need to pull in that brake line to account for. spoil your clips on your wiring, and then we can cut that, kind of work this out of the way. Just kind of bend that up there. Now y'all see me C-notch several vehicles, so I'm gonna kind of fly through this as quick as I can. I will show you why we're doing and how we're doing though. Quick rundown. I didn't want to bring the rear end over here because it's heavy, so I never marked center. So what I did was I took our lowering block and I measured it, put us a perfect line down the center, and then I set our straight edge right there and follow that line, and I traced it up to there. In theory, that should get us in pretty center where we need to be. Now to mark this out, from an inch below that crease, I came down 1 inch, about like so. And then we mark us a line from the center. We're going from there over 6 inches, then an additional 5/8. And I just meant 3 inches, a total of 6. So 3 this way, 3 that way, 5/8 past. Drop that, give you a straight line down, and then you want to connect that down to there to create your angle on the front and back. That's it. For the C-notch itself, I decided we'd do a fabricated one. I don't know if we've ever done fabricated. We've done pipe. We've bent pieces of strap like so, but this time we're gonna cut 3 pieces and weld it together. We need a piece 5 5/8, a piece 3 inches, and a piece 2 1/2 inches. Boom, bang, bop. To get your angle before you weld that, you just check your angle over here. We already knew it from that side. Now you erase some of this away. That's because we're gonna mark center right there, put that on center right there, and then we'll trace this out. That should have us fitting nice and tight as right. 3 things. We'll square across the bottom where we know where to cut. In the corners, we're gonna drill us a hole. That'll keep us from putting all that pressure right at a point. And the last thing is, you raise your jack or your jack stands just till it touches to support. Don't pick up on it, just give her a little smoochy kiss. Our brake line bracket on the inside had us. Clean her up and tack her in, leaving us about a 1/2 inch over here and inside here. Weld her up. Ha-ha! Woo, slick Willie, weld her out. Full welded, baby. Now I've showed y'all several times how to take poster board and you just shove it against this and it'll mark it out for you, so we'll skip that. All that really matters is our template that worked on that side. Well, it sure does a blah blah, a bleep bleep bleep. That's all, folks. It seems to fit this side good. We can use this. And I'll show you how consistent this is. I never referenced. We're gonna measure off our mount to the corner, 17 inches right there. I never checked either side. I just went off our lowering block technique. Pull it to that corner, 17 inches. When you're good, baby. You clean up your plate, clean up your frame. Let's get her in position here. Now the front and rear, we're gonna have to clamp in to match our frame. And the top of the frame curves out, so we have a lip here to here, but we're gonna take our cutoff wheel. We're actually gonna trim that out just a hair where we've got a corner joint. That'll make her weld nice. Well, after C-notching, guys, I went ahead and just threw some black paint on there, and she looks good. What do you think, Bill? Nice and solid. Then I hopped over here and I was gonna throw a side together, which I did end up throwing one together, but I also realized I created a lot more work for myself, guys. When I'd use this, I never paid attention to which one the red plugs were on. And right there you can see 4.5, over here's 4.75. Well, the red plugs are over here. Long story short, the first time I drilled those axles, I re-drilled them to an additional 4.5. So my studs came in from the parts house, I pulled them in, and luckily before I put all this together and actually got it in the truck and realized I had the one axle, and I was like, I'm gonna go stick it in the wheel just so I could feel all cool that I did it. And I was like, damn, this don't fit. So that's what the problem was. Basically, I got to do this all again, and now our axle and rotors are looking a little like Swiss cheese, but I think they'll be okay. I think.
It'll be fine.
I agree with Bill. I think we will be just fine. So now we're gonna get our axles in, guys. This is just kind of going back with new stuff we'd already came apart with, so it ain't too complicated. We're gonna get this where we can go stab her in the truck, and I don't know where we'll be at. All I know is I got a lot to do, and I'm having a hard time realizing where I'm at. I'm right here, but I mean...
Right here, right now.
Yeah, right here, right now, I can't think of the order of stuff I need to be doing. So we're just gonna get this together and carry it over there.
We're gonna blame it on the coldness.
There we go. Don't replace that hardware, just blend it. Give her the rattle can blend.
Pot of water, me camouflage.
No Pot County makeover. Hell, looks good from here. Next, we'll slide in our 15-hole axle.
You can put any rim on it you want to.
As long as it's forward 4.5. In 3 different places. Bolt a rotor on. This kind of, hold on. Get your plunger out of there. That's got to pop up there. That clicks down there. Make sure your bleeder's up or you ain't gonna bleed.
Not a reference to the Firebird, is it?
Hush, Bill. Yeah. Get our line on. We're not gonna build brackets or do our hard line quite yet though. New copper washers suck, so that little trick right there seems to help.
Help get it seated?
Yep. Give her a quick little clean out here. Get some of that old stuff out of there. Yeah, me. Drop the clips back in. Tug on it.
Put it in.
Yep.
Whew, got it.
Today, me and Bill got to learn how fun it is to spin gears back in one of these limited slips. Not too bad, but it took me a minute to understand it. I'm not gonna explain it because I couldn't. You better have it in a position where when he's holding that so I can spin this, you can get both started, and then this rotates around it, and it's just gotta hit the money shot perfect. Woo, that's a sweet feeling right there. Of course, I got this new gasket on there, just tighten that back on. That is our stopping point for now. Well, actually, we can throw it in there, but then install, we're going to be finally looking at these CalTracs. Now, I've never installed a set of CalTracs. We're just going to try them for this. Now, the thing I was unsure about is we're sitting super duper low, and these things hang down. So here's my ballpark math. That goes on the bottom, so you see it in place. So I measured from there up to the center, 2 5/8. And from the center of our wheel out to there is about 14, maybe 14 1/4. So if we go above our lowering block, the 2 5/8, and then we hang down to the 14, there will be clearance, probably about 3 inches worth. And 3 inches of clearance is gonna be to about that line right there. So it will actually be hanging down below the wheel some. I wonder if a new hole could be drilled on that sucker and it could be picked up some. Maybe they just do it for different leaf springs, or maybe we change the geometry and they don't do their job. Step 1's pull our leaf springs. We gotta get this front bushing out. Dang, It looks like it's for the English wheel. Hold on, Bill, let me grab the camera. We'll do it like they do in Hollywood. We did this in one try, guys. It did not take multiple times at all. Hopefully that socket's loose and not the new bushing. No, it'll come out. Shoot, we about got her whooped now.
Yep.
We could set something else on this if we wanted to, Bill. Just finish shoving it out.
Like that, yeah. Yeah, it still took quite a bit to get it
Yeah, that sucker is long. We'll give us a shot or two of grease in here. Now don't use that perfectly good press over there to install these. We're gonna do it a little more caveman. All right, smack her in. Went where it needed to be. That's money. Thank goodness Bill showed up today. It wasn't planned. I wouldn't have had the back left on me.
That's some wicked rear end angle there. All right, we got our pinion angle set. We're ready.
Send it. What do you think about that eyeball, Bill?
Yeah.
I picked this side up, put our shackle on. Look, guys, it's like perfect height. I did not have to pick up on that rear end at all. If it works once, we're lucky, Bill. If it works twice, that's because we're damn good.
We're damn lucky.
I'd say we're damn lucky.
Yeah, me too.
Up next, we're gonna weld on the CalTracs. Just playing. Bill measured that rear end for me, told me she is 3 inches. I went up to the parts house, got some 3 1/8. These are still too narrow, so I got some 3 3/8 being delivered. As I'm waiting on them, I'm hooking up what I can, sort of like a rear end vent. It's up here, factory location. Here we go. I'm gonna get grilled on the internet for this. Our vent line, I put on a little small piece of vacuum line to a transmission vent. A vent's a vent, damn it. And now we're gonna get our little brake line welded on, but now I notice it's coming out of there. Hopefully we're not gonna be replacing this, because I don't know why it's leaking up there now. Now they had one set which do fit beautiful. Those are beefy, 9/16. Got the big boys on her. The only problem is they only had one set. Luckily they're doing me a solid and gonna grab another set from the next town over. So we're gonna whip up a quick little tab here to actually be able to mount our brake lines. Just weld her onto our little saddle there. That makes her do a nice little curly cue, nothing's rubbing, plenty of slack. I likey. I match this side. Since I had to run to the parts house, I went ahead and got us a pre-made line. Super cheap, and this stuff is really easy to bend. Make our life a little easier here. We do have some slack to take up if we keep this pre-made length. So we're gonna swoop up this way to our clip. The 50-inch line was just about right. Swooped her down in there. And what I don't know is, are these fittings the same? And what we also don't know is why this one decided to start leaking. It looks all right. Dang it! Uh-oh. Now we got a real debacle, because that's 3/16. This is quarter. And it's very hard to go from quarter down with the fitting. Shall say we risk it for the biscuit. This line was nice and rusty. Be sure to get that brake fluid all over your painted parts. We need this to slide on here. Yes, that's what we needed. So I have a union here. We can put that on there. This is for a 1/4 inch line. See, the fitting was actually metric, so that ain't threading into our rubber hose over here. So we can flare this, put that there, and then I have this fitting that's for our larger thread here, but it's for a 3/16 tube, so that's how we'll convert. And we'll also get rid of that rusty crusty piece because it looked like it's about to break. Me and Bill made our run. Had to get a new flare tool. I broke mine last time. Got some line. Got the U-bolts, the hard to find U-bolts. You want to spit moisture in your brake line, that's good for it. That one flared, we'll re-flare that in with our tube nut. Whoop! Hook her up. Go ahead, Bill. Theo, you wanna learn to bleed brakes? I think that's the last of the air. No leaks that I'm aware of. Go ahead, Bill. How's that feeling?
Yep.
Like a good pedal? Quick inspection. Not seeing no leaks. We must have done pretty good. Now we're going for a classy install here, so can't leave no exposed weld like that. A little touch up. Here are them elusive bastards. Thing's got some ass on them. We're getting serious now. Next up, our bars just thread onto these heim joints here. One's left-hand thread, one's right-hand thread, so you can adjust them. But you want to try to get your threads about even. About a thumb's worth of threads, about a thumb's worth. Real accurate stuff. We let the front down. We need to get some weight on the rear before we tighten up all of our hardware for the springs and stuff. And instead of throwing the fatties on there, we're actually gonna throw the stock wheels on there. The reason being, I think our wheels are gonna rub our bed. I'm hoping we can roll them out and make them clear, or maybe cut them. But instead of fighting that, of trying to set it on there, we'll just put some stocks on her. Well, that's a good sign that it goes on since we drilled those twice. I tell y'all, that's a very tight fit on that hub-centric center. When we do go take those off, it's gonna be a fight. Let her down, Bill. Woo, got the drag pack on. Got them tires ready to blow off. She's a little stiff. She's still got some shock stroke on her. Make sure that wasn't bottomed out. Our shock angle ain't the greatest, but that'll be all right. We're not smacking frame anymore. Sure seems like it's gonna ride stiff. I think it'll be okay, actually. We get the weight of the bed on there. Speaking of which, we'll throw our meats up on the back of the frame to put some weight on that, and then we'll actually tighten the stuff. Some weight on there, then we'll tighten up our suspension. Tighten up your shackles, leaf spring bolts. I went ahead and tightened up our jam nuts on our little rods. And I don't know if y'all remember towards the beginning, at some point I showed you when we'd bounce on this, how that pinion would just boom instantly. And that's what's gonna create your wheel hop, guys.
Look at that.
Yeah, it ain't wrapping no more. But the truck's cycling. So the suspension is still doing its thing, but those CalTracs eliminate it being able to wrap. And I'm pretty sure your axle wrap equals your wheel hop. So now we should just be able to blow these suckers clean off.
Those are gonna make some smoke.
Coming down, coming down. Slapped our bed bolts in, hooked our wiring up. I just slid in our drive shaft. Now, of course, it ain't the end we need, but I'm surprised how close that is looking at possibly working for us. This end down here is about where it needs to be if you go from the back to there. She's probably about 5/8, 3/4, somewhere in there. So the question is, from this flange to the center, how far, or from this to the center, how far is that on our flange? Yeah. We need to know center of there to that, which is about 1 5/8 inches. I think we may get lucky, Bill.
I think so too.
Wonder what size U-joint that is. Especially if it's a 1310, because that's a 1310. But I don't know. I don't know how to tell. Just looking at them. Down low we're about 1.5 inches. Up top about 1 3/4 inches.
Well, if you split that, that's about...
That's where we need to be. Yeah. And we still have quite a bit of slip out up here. So I think we're gonna be good, Bill. Wow. We gotta figure out if it's the correct U-joint, and if not, just get the correct bastard U-joint and make it work. I'm gonna spray this down where she can get a little pre-soak going. I'll have to do a little U-joint research tonight. I was really hoping to get this wrapped up today, you know, but a couple of mistakes and stuff out of our control just kept that from happening. I got out here at 5 in the morning. I don't know what time it is now. It's been days. It is 8:30 now.
It's 8:30 now?
Yeah.
Boy, my dog's mad. She eats at 5.
Good morning. Saturday morning push. Got our U-joint here. 353. That's a 1310 to a 1330. Our Southwest speed drive shaft's 1310, and I think the Exploder 8.8 is a 1330. Free that up. This is gonna be the second U-joint I've put in this truck. Woo! That was a tight fit. Gotta make sure that clips in. You may notice I used the old clips. That's because these ones are like the snap ring style. You gotta have snap ring pliers, and I don't like them. Drive shaft just bolted into place. And don't be fooled, this is obviously not a factory S-10 one. The previous owner had swapped it in after doing the LS swap. I'm still super impressed this one worked out for us. Picked up on a rear end to put weight on it, and then I wanted to check her slip yoke, and she's still got some stick out. I'd like about an 1/8 inch more. However, I do think that's gonna be perfectly fine. Also underneath here, look at a few other things. Like our brake line that we built up there, I wanna make sure it ain't like rubbing that bed support. All that looks good. Also a good way for me to reveal to y'all the rust that's in this bed. Every support's rusted on it, so dang weird. And then all the sheet metal's fine. After me and Bill threw the shocks on there yesterday, I realized there was some slack in there, so I'm gonna find a washer for that. We need to service our rear diff. And I forgot to mention yesterday that for now, I just put some washers up underneath our transmission mount to shim that up. I made us a list here. I think we're good, guys. I filled the diff. Last thing on the list is pretty much try to make the rear tires fit, but this is good enough for a little test drive. moving. That's a good sign. All right, guys, she's moving. Still rides about how I expected. A little rough, a little tight. But going through there, the axle didn't kiss the frame this time, so that's a plus. I got some good bumps right here in the driveway. It's a lot better because, yeah, it's stiff and yeah, it's tight, but at least when you're doing that, you don't end up meeting metal where you come to that hard stop at least. Now this test drive is just to make sure everything's functioning. It's not going to be very good because it's been raining all night. The roads are nice and wet. These tires are half bald and tiny, so I know we're not really going to hook up. But that's fun. She said, "Where you want to go, Dad?" I'm just a skating. I don't know why I made my truck just call me Dad. That's kind of weird. On the plus side, both are spinning. It feels good, and I know it ain't the best test because we are spinning. However, we're not spinning and bouncing. And before, that's what we were doing. Bop, 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 bop. And this is just woo! What I mean is, those CalTracs are doing their job because we're not wheel hopping now. Might have to be careful with this truck. I'll put her in a ditch. Ease out. This thing, I'm used to my old vehicles kind of having sloppy steering. This thing actually steers pretty tight, so I might have to ease up on my corrections there. I'm not used to tight steering or power for the truth. Guys, when you drove Darringtons most of your life, you're not used to power. There, I admitted it.
I got that one.
Oh, that dog wants to race. You want to race me? Definitely happy with our choices here, guys, especially with how much better this thing rides. I'm glad we just C-notched it. I did start to swap out leaf springs to different ones, but now I'm glad I gave these ones an actual shot. They'll be good enough for this old rig. Trying to get our wheel off. Like I said, that baby sucked on that center real tight. If you don't believe me about how smooth she was riding, or how bouncy it's not, how about that light right there staying on that rusty cross member the whole time we went for our test drive? That's right, I had to put that up there when I was filling the diff, and that made it through the whole drive. Just took a little heat on the wheel to get that to expand a bit and then beat on it. I don't think these are gonna fit. Woo! Boy, if they do, they're gonna be close. That's gonna have to be rolled really hard, which is fun since these wheel wells are actually kind of rusty. Usually for a fender well, we get the old baseball out. Baseball bat, actually. For this, I've had one of these tools sitting in a box. You can get them for like 40 bucks off of Amazon. We are gonna see if we can make this work. Obviously it bolts to your axle, and it's all adjustable, all different types of ways. And the good thing about this is, I think we may be able to move this whole bedside out a little bit. Spray a little lube on it. We're just gonna keep working her back and forth here. Ah, went too far again. I think it's gonna rev, guys. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. I got a finger between there. Woo! Woo, woo, woo! Our driver's side is really full of rust. Like, that's rusted really bad. So it couldn't hold itself true. Stuff was collapsing, flaking out. So that's a little wonky, but it already was a little wonky. I tried to feel for clearance and slice myself open. The good news is though, they're fitting up in there. Let's just go drive it. We get going through this rough part of the driveway right here. That'll get the rear end articulating around. And if it's gonna rub, it's gonna happen then. It's a little rough on the truck, but I'm gonna purposely drive through these bumps up here fast too. Because if it is doing it, one way we'll be able to tell is looking at the tire for rub marks. I didn't hear nothing. She's still spinning. The roads are a little drier. Should be dry enough. Those tires, even though they're fat, they're just not aggressive enough to hook up. I think we're suffering a little power to weight ratio because this thing just ain't heavy. There ain't no weight in the back. I mean, there's the bed, some suspension, but still it can spin them. It is a lot better than it was though. At least now it's trying. Before, if I do that, the one tire fire would pop loose. It would start wheel hopping where it's actually coming off the ground, increasing speed. And the speedo over here would shoot from like 30 to just like 100 miles per hour. The wheel speed was so crazy. Now, it starts going, it slips a little, it starts going, not slips, I guess spins, whatever. We definitely improved. I think if we wanted to really romp on this thing and have it hook up, we're gonna have to get some type of good tire, little drag pack set up for this rig or something. But I'm not even worried about that, guys. This is a fun little street truck that we can just drive around. If you want to mess with people, you can. But it's just a great driver. Let's be honest, if we were worried about going super duper fast and stuff, we'd be getting rid of the 4L 60E, going for something tougher. We'd be slapping a turbo on this. And there ain't nothing wrong with building a truck like that. This one's just too much of a practical daily driver with everything that it has to build one of those. If we were building something like that, we wouldn't need the fancy wiring harness and crap that's on this one that makes all the factory stuff work. Because then, I mean, you can just, I mean, it's a race truck. You put whatever you want in there. Just swing up in here at Slick Shop real quick so we can check and see. I don't really see any marks. Trying to see if she's clearing or rubbing. I think we're good, guys. Them Stand Stout kids call that hella flush.
Hella flush?
Because you can't get any hella flusher. We still got more we're gonna do on her, but for right now, pretty happy with our 3.5 days of progress. That was about 5 days worth of work. And I've had this thing all over on speeds already, and no vibrations, no clunks, no shakes. But there is a Mustang hood like a whipping. Come on, get you one. Oh yeah, that baby is going. Woo! Woo! She pert near hooked right there, guys. Just a little bit of spin, but that's the best she's done. I went up that hill before, so I kind of did that where I could compare it to before. And before, I went nowhere. Oh, I'm so happy we did this. It feels great. Made a world of difference. And like I previously stated, about to lose my drink. Pretty affordable for what we just gained. Yes, sir. Well, there she is. That's a wrap. Just a damned old racetrack, guys. That's all she is, okay? I'm so glad we did this. Way funner to drive now. It's a blast. Looks good. Works good. Super happy with how it all turned out, especially for almost kind of rushing through it. You could really clean up that swap if you were taking your time. I think for the time required, what we spent, and then the end result, definitely a no-brainer on a little truck like this, guys. Now the CalTracs were kind of expensive. I think those are a little over 400 bucks. You get free shipping on them through Summit or whatever. But they just work so good. And our other options would then be to start looking at like 4-linking and crap like that. And I just didn't want to get into that on this truck. I think what we've done back there is exactly what it needed. Theo does too. He's so impressed with it, he can't quit looking at it. I'm on the Instagrammer, I'm on the Patreon, I'm on the Facebooker, guys. I cannot thank y'all enough for being here. Be sure to check out my second channel if you ain't checked out that yet. We always got good content going out there weekly also. So you get a little dose on Monday, you can get a dose on Thursday. And much other than that, sitting on your ass will not finish your project. Redneck tripod, Chris.